My name is Emma, and at 29, I thought blocking my ex-boyfriend's nightly home safe text was finally reclaiming my independence after 8 months of his protective hovering. That one decision, made out of frustration on an ordinary Friday night, turned out to be the biggest mistake of my life. What I didn't know was that Liam wasn't being controlling, he was being vigilant. And the moment his messages stopped reaching me, I became vulnerable to someone who had been watching from the shadows all along, waiting for exactly that opportunity. If you're watching this right now, drop a comment below telling me where you're from, and make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to hear more stories. The glow of my laptop screen had burned itself into my retinas hours ago, but I was still staring at it, tweaking the final mock-up for tomorrow's client presentation. The marketing agency's office had emptied around 7, but here I was at 10 p.m., putting the finishing touches on a campaign that probably didn't need another revision. Seattle at night had a particular kind of quiet, the kind that pressed against your eardrums when you finally stepped outside. I locked up, adjusted my earbuds, and started the familiar 15-minute walk home. The streets weren't completely empty, just sparse enough to make you aware of every footstep that wasn't your own. My phone buzzed in my pocket at exactly 10:45 p.m. I didn't need to look to know who it was. I pulled it out anyway, and there it was. Home safe. Liam. Always Liam. I sighed and typed back the same response I'd given him every night for the past 8 months. Yes, Liam. 8 months. That's how long it had been since we'd broken up. 5 years together, ended amicably over coffee on a Sunday morning because I'd needed space and he'd needed to know I was okay every second of every day. I'd loved him. God, I'd loved him. But his protectiveness had started to feel like a cage. Every late night at work came with 20 check-in texts. Every girl's night out required my location shared in real time. Every decision I made seemed to pass through his filter of worry first. So, I'd ended it. Gently. We'd both cried. He'd understood, or at least said he did. But the texts never stopped. Every single night at 10:45 p.m., like clockwork. Home safe. At first, I'd found it sweet in a melancholy way. Then annoying. Now it was just part of the routine, like brushing my teeth or setting my alarm. Answer Liam, lock the door, turn off the lights, sleep. I pushed through the door of my apartment building, a modest 4-story brick structure on the edge of downtown. My footsteps echoed in the narrow hallway as I climbed to the 3rd floor. The place felt emptier since Nora had moved out last month to live with her boyfriend. For the first time in my adult life, I was living completely alone. Independence. That's what I'd wanted, right? I unlocked my apartment door, flipped on the lights, and tossed my bag onto the couch. The space looked exactly as I'd left it that morning. Too clean, too quiet, too much mine. I heated up leftover pad thai, scrolled through my phone while eating, and tried not to think about how the silence felt heavier than it used to. My phone lit up again. Another text from Liam. Sleep well. I stared at it for a moment, then set the phone face down on the counter. The pattern continued. Every night, same time, same message. My friends had started to notice. He's still texting you? Nora asked over coffee the following Saturday, her eyebrows raised so high they nearly disappeared into her hairline. Emma, it's been 8 months. He's either still in love with you or what? Or he's stalking you. She said it with a laugh, but something in her tone made my stomach twist. He's not stalking me. He's just Liam. He worries. About his ex-girlfriend? Every single night. Nora leaned back in her chair, studying me. Babe, that's not normal. I wanted to defend him, but the words stuck in my throat. Because she was right, wasn't she? It wasn't normal. We weren't together anymore. I'd asked for space. And yet every night, there he was, a persistent ghost in my inbox. That week at work, I met Ryan. He was new to the marketing team, bright-eyed and friendly with an easy smile that made everyone warm up to him immediately. We'd been assigned to the same project, and he had this way of making late nights at the office feel less lonely, cracking jokes about our demanding clients, bringing extra coffee, asking about my weekend plans. You walk home alone? He asked one evening as we packed up our laptops. Yeah, it's not far. 15 minutes. That's pretty late though. You sure that's safe? I bristled slightly at the question. It was too familiar, too reminiscent of Liam's constant concern.
Ai fine.
Done it 100 times. Ryan held up his hands in surrender.
Hey, no judgment.
Just offering if you ever want company. I softened. Thanks. I appreciate it. But I declined. I always declined. It was on a Tuesday night that I first noticed the car. I was half a block from my building when something made me glance across the street. A black sedan sat parked along the curb, lights off, engine silent. In a city like Seattle, parked cars were everywhere, nothing unusual. But something about this one stuck in my mind. Maybe it was the dent on the front bumper, or the way it sat at just the right angle to have a clear view of my building's entrance. I shook off the feeling and went inside. That night, Liam's text came right on schedule. Home safe. I typed yes, then paused. For the first time, I noticed something odd about his timing. How did he always know exactly when I'd be getting home? My work schedule varied. Sometimes I left at 6, sometimes at 10. Yet his text always arrived within minutes of me walking through my door. Lights on, came a follow-up text seconds later. My finger hovered over the keyboard. How does he know about my lights? A chill crept down my spine. I walked to my window and looked out at the street below. The black sedan was still there, exactly where it had been. I couldn't see anyone inside, but the darkness made it impossible to tell for sure. I closed the curtains and didn't respond to Liam's second text. My phone buzzed again almost immediately.
Emma.
Please answer. Then, just need to know you're okay. I stared at the messages, my heart beating faster than it should. This was Liam. Sweet, anxious, overprotective Liam who used to leave sticky notes with smiley faces on my bathroom mirror. He couldn't be watching me.
Could he?
I typed back. I'm fine.
Good night.
But I didn't sleep well. The sedan was there again the next night. And the night after that. Same spot. Same dent on the bumper. Same unsettling feeling in my gut. I told myself I was being paranoid. Seattle had thousands of cars. Maybe someone who lived nearby had bought a new vehicle and always parked in that spot. Maybe I'd never noticed it before and was only seeing it now because Liam's text had put me on edge. But I started varying my route home, taking different streets, walking faster. The cars seemed to follow the pattern. On Friday, I snapped. I'd had a long week, a difficult client meeting, and I was exhausted. When Liam's text arrived, home safe, I stared at it with a mixture of frustration and something darker. I thought about Nora's words. Block him already. My finger hovered over his contact information. Block. Just one tap. I could end this nightly ritual, reclaim my independence fully, stop feeling like I owed him a response. I tapped it. A small pop-up appeared. You will no longer receive calls, messages, or FaceTime from this contact.
Confirm. Done.
I felt a rush of liberation followed immediately by a whisper of guilt. But I pushed the guilt down.
I didn't owe him this.
We weren't together. I'd asked for space, and he hadn't given it to me. This was the right thing to do. That night felt different. Heavier somehow. The silence in my apartment seemed to amplify every small sound. The hum of the refrigerator, the creak of the building settling, the distant wail of sirens. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, phone face down on my nightstand. For 8 months, I'd had that routine. That small, annoying, comforting routine. And now it was gone. I should have felt free. Instead, I felt exposed. At 11:32 p.m., I woke to a sound that didn't belong. Metal on metal. A gentle rattling. My door handle twisting slowly, testing, probing. I froze, every muscle in my body locked tight. My breath caught in my throat. For several seconds, I couldn't move, couldn't think, couldn't do anything but listen. The sound stopped. Silence rushed back in, but it was different now, predatory, waiting. Liam? I whispered into the darkness, the name escaping before I could stop it. But Liam couldn't answer. I'd blocked him. My heart hammered against my ribs. I reached for my phone with trembling fingers and called the non-emergency police line. Seattle Police, non-emergency.
E. E.
I think someone tried my door handle. Even as I said it, I felt foolish. I'm probably overreacting. It might have been the wind or... Ma'am, what's your address? I gave it to her. Are you safe right now? Is anyone in your apartment? No.
E.
I don't think so. The sound stopped. I'm probably just being paranoid. We can send an officer to do a wellness check if you'd like.
No. No.
I'm sure it's nothing. Maybe the building's pipes or something. I'm sorry for calling. Don't apologize. Call us back immediately if you hear anything else. I hung up and sat in the darkness, clutching my phone like a lifeline. Every shadow seemed to move. Every sound became a threat. I opened my contacts and scrolled to Liam's name. My thumb hovered over the unblock button. I don't owe him this, I told myself. I don't need him. But the emptiness in my inbox felt like abandonment. I didn't unblock him. Instead, I sat awake until dawn, watching my door. The next morning, I went down to the lobby where our building's security camera monitor sat on the superintendent's desk. Mr. Chun was usually accommodating about letting residents check footage if they needed to. Morning, Emma. Everything okay? Yeah, I thought I heard something at my door last night. Probably nothing, but could I check the hallway camera? He pulled up the footage and scrubbed through to 11:30 p.m.
There.
A figure in a dark hoodie appeared at the end of the hallway, moved slowly toward my door, reached out, the angle wasn't quite right to see clearly, and then walked away. See,
Mr. Chun said.
Probably just a delivery person who got the wrong apartment number. Happens all the time. But delivery people knocked. They didn't test door handles in silence at 11:30 at night. I thanked him and went back upstairs, my skin crawling. At work on Monday, Ryan noticed my distraction immediately. You okay? You look exhausted. I hesitated, then found myself telling him an edited version. Someone had tried my door handle. Probably nothing, but it had spooked me. That's creepy, he said, his expression genuinely concerned. You call the police? Yeah, but there's not much they can do. No actual break-in. No clear threat. You should get a doorbell camera. I could help you install one this weekend if you want. The offer was kind, and I appreciated it. Thanks. I might take you up on that. But something about accepting felt like admitting defeat, like admitting I couldn't handle living alone. That afternoon, an email notification popped up on my screen. My breath caught when I saw the sender. Liam. The subject line was empty. The message itself was brief. Please answer. I know this sounds crazy, but don't walk home the same way tonight. My hands trembled as I read it again. He'd found another way to reach me. Despite the block, despite my boundaries, he'd found a way. Anger flared in my chest. I started typing a response. Leave me alone. I blocked you for a reason.
But I stopped.
Something in his tone was different. Not the usual gentle worry. This was urgent, almost desperate. I deleted my angry response and closed the email without replying. That evening, I left work early and took a different route home, telling myself it had nothing to do with Liam's warning. I was just varying my routine. Being smart. Being safe. The streets felt emptier than usual. A dark SUV crept past me slowly, and I found myself memorizing the license plate before it turned the corner and disappeared. That night, I heard sounds above my ceiling. Distinct thuds, like footsteps. But I lived on the top floor. I texted Nora. Do you remember hearing noises from above when you lived here? Her response came quickly. Sometimes. Old building. Probably pipes or rats in the crawl space.
Why?
Just hearing weird sounds tonight. You okay? Want me to come over?
No, I'm fine.
Just jumpy lately. I set my phone down and tried to focus on the TV, but every creak and groan of the building made me flinch. The next morning, I found something in my mailbox that made my blood run cold. A plain white envelope, no address, no stamp. Just my first name written in block letters on the front. Inside was a photograph.
Of me.
Walking home from work, earbuds in, completely unaware. The timestamp in the corner read from last week. Before I'd blocked Liam, before I'd noticed the car, before any of this had felt real. No note.
No explanation.
Just the photo. My hand shook so badly, I almost dropped it. The police station smelled like burnt coffee and cleaning supplies. I sat across from Officer Martinez, the photograph in a plastic evidence bag between us. "And you have no idea who took this?" she asked.
No.
"Any recent breakups? Arguments? Anyone who might have a grudge?" I thought about mentioning Liam, but what would I say? My ex-boyfriend texts me every night to make sure I'm safe? That sounded insane even in my own head.
No.
Nothing like that. What about coworkers? Friends? Anyone new in your life? Ryan's friendly face flashed in my mind.
No.
I mean, there's a new guy at work, but he's been nothing but nice. Officer Martinez took notes. "We'll file a report and increase patrols in your area. I'd recommend installing security cameras, varying your routine, and staying aware of your surroundings." That's it. She gave me a sympathetic look. Without a clear threat or evidence of who's doing this, there's not much more we can do right now. But take this seriously, Emma. Document everything. If anything else happens, call us immediately. I left the station feeling more helpless than when I'd arrived. That night, my phone rang from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me press accept. "Hello." Heavy breathing filled the line. Then, a whisper that made my skin crawl. "Miss me yet?" The call disconnected. I sat frozen on my couch, phone still pressed to my ear. The silence after those words somehow louder than anything I'd heard before. The black sedan was parked outside my building again. Closer this time. Close enough that I could see it clearly from my window. I spent the entire night sitting by that window, curtains slightly parted, watching the street below. The car never moved.
No one got in or out.
It just sat there, waiting. At 3 a.m., exhaustion and fear finally broke me. I opened my phone, found Liam's contact, and pressed unblock. Immediately, a flood of messages came through, dozens of them, sent over the past few days, all blocked until this moment.
Emma.
Please tell me you're okay. I know you blocked me, but you need to listen. They're following you. The black car. Have you seen it? Please, Emma. Call me right now. I'm not trying to control you. I'm trying to keep you safe. Call me.
Please.
Please. My hands shook as I scrolled through them, each message more desperate than the last. The most recent one was from 20 minutes ago. "I know you're awake. I can see your light on. Please answer." My blood turned to ice. I looked out the window at the street below, searching for what? Liam's car? Another person watching? I didn't see anything except that black sedan. With trembling fingers, I called him. He answered before the first ring finished. "Emma." His voice was rough, breathless, like he'd been running. "Oh, thank God. Are you okay?" "Liam, what the hell is going on?" "Listen to me very carefully. You need to get out of that apartment. Right now."
What? No.
"I'm not. Emma, I'm not joking. Someone has been following you for weeks. The same car, the same pattern. I've been tracking them." "You've been what?" Anger cut through my fear. "You've been tracking me?" "Not you.
Them.
The people watching you." He paused, and I heard what sounded like traffic in the background. "I saw them first about 2 months ago. Same black sedan. Always near your building, always at night. I tried to tell you, but you wouldn't have believed me. So, you just kept stalking me yourself? I was protecting you." His voice cracked. "Emma, I know how this sounds. I know you think I'm crazy or controlling or whatever, but I swear to you, this is real. Someone is watching you." I wanted to hang up. I wanted to scream at him that he was the problem, that his paranoia was the issue, that I should have blocked him months ago. But I couldn't ignore the photo in the evidence bag at the police station, or the whispered voice on the phone, or the figure in my hallway, or the way my door handle had turned in the darkness. "How do I know it's not you?" I whispered. "How do I know you're not the one doing this?" The silence on the other end stretched too long. "Emma," he finally said, his voice breaking. "I would never hurt you. Never. I can't let anything happen to you. Before I could respond, someone knocked on my door. 3 soft taps, almost polite. My entire body went rigid. Emma? Liam's voice was sharp with panic. What was that? Someone's at my door, I whispered. Don't open it. I wasn't planning to. I crept toward the peephole, phone still pressed to my ear. Emma, that's not me. I'm 15 minutes away. Do you hear me? That is not me at your door. I looked through the peephole. The hallway was empty. Then the lights went out. The entire building plunged into darkness, and in that darkness, I heard the door handle start to turn. Liam, his name came out as a gasp. I'm coming. I'm coming right now. Lock yourself in the bathroom. Do it now. I stumbled backward, phone clutched in one hand, the other reaching blindly for the bathroom door. My hip caught the corner of the coffee table, and pain shot through my side, but I kept moving. The front door handle rattled harder. I reached the bathroom, slammed the door shut, and locked it just as I heard the unmistakable sound of my front door opening. Emma. Liam's voice was steady in my ear, an anchor in the chaos. Listen to me. The police are already on their way. I called them 5 minutes ago. They're almost there. Footsteps in my apartment.
Slow.
Deliberate. Moving through my living room. I pressed myself against the far wall of the bathroom, trying to make myself as small as possible, trying not to breathe, trying not to exist. You're okay, Liam whispered. You're going to be okay.
I've got you.
In the distance, sirens began to wail. The footsteps in my apartment stopped. Then they moved quickly, retreating. I heard my fire escape window slide open, heard the metal stairs clang as someone descended rapidly. They're running. I gasped into the phone. Don't move. Don't leave that bathroom until the police come get you. Red and blue lights flooded through the small bathroom window, painting the walls in frantic colors. Heavy boots pounded up the stairs. Authoritative voices called out. Seattle Police. Emma, they're there. You're safe now. But I didn't feel safe. I felt shattered. The bathroom door handle turned, someone trying to get in. Police. Is anyone in there? Why, yes. I managed to call out.
I'm Emma Hartley.
This is my apartment. We're going to need you to unlock the door, ma'am. My legs barely supported me as I crossed the small bathroom and turned the lock. The door opened to reveal 2 officers, flashlights blazing. Are you hurt? I shook my head, though I wasn't entirely sure it was true. They escorted me out through my destroyed apartment, front door hanging open, fire escape window gaping, my belongings scattered where the intruder had moved through my space like a ghost. Outside, wrapped in a blanket someone had given me, I stood barefoot on the sidewalk while officers searched the building and neighbors gathered to watch the spectacle. That's when I saw him. Liam, running toward me, his face pale and terrified. He stopped a few feet away, like he was afraid touching me might make me break. You were right, I whispered. You were right the whole time. And then I collapsed into his arms and started to cry. The police station at 3 in the morning had a particular kind of fluorescent bleakness that made everything feel unreal. I sat wrapped in a scratchy wool blanket, hands clutching a paper cup of terrible coffee that had gone cold 20 minutes ago. Liam sat beside me, close but not touching, like he was afraid of crossing some invisible boundary. We'd already given our statements twice. Officers moved around us with purpose, speaking in low voices, typing on computers, occasionally glancing our way with expressions I couldn't quite read. Detective Sarah Chin finally approached us, a manila folder in her hands. She was younger than I expected, maybe mid-30s, with sharp eyes that seemed to catalog everything. Ms. Hartley, Mr. Pierce. She nodded at each of us in turn. We've processed the scene. Your intruder gained access through the fire escape, used a glass cutter on your window. Clean work planned. This wasn't opportunistic. My stomach turned over. Did you find anything? Any evidence of who? We recovered partial prints from your doorframe and fire escape railing. Running them through the system now. She paused, studying me. Mr. Pierce mentioned you've been experiencing harassment for several weeks. The photograph, the phone calls. Why didn't you report all of this sooner? I did report the photo, I said defensively. Officer Martinez took my statement, but not the other incidents. Not the car that's been following you. I looked down at my hands. I thought I was being paranoid. I thought maybe. I trailed off, unable to finish the sentence. You thought maybe it was me, Liam said quietly. It wasn't a question. Detective Chen's gaze shifted between us. Were you aware, Miss Hartley, that Mr. Pierce filed a report 3 months ago about suspicious activity near your residence? My head snapped up. What? He reported a vehicle matching the description of the black sedan repeatedly parked near your building. Provided plate numbers, which turned out to be fake, and timestamps. She opened the folder, revealing printed photographs.
He also submitted these.
I leaned forward. The photos showed the black sedan from multiple angles, different dates and times stamped in the corners. One showed a figure in dark clothing getting out of the driver's side, face obscured by a hood. You documented all of this? I asked Liam, my voice barely above a whisper. He wouldn't meet my eyes. I had to. You wouldn't have believed me if I'd just told you. Mr. Pierce, Detective Chen continued, also provided us with information about a prior incident at Ms. Hartley's previous workplace. A man named Marcus Delaney was terminated for inappropriate behavior toward female employees, including Ms. Hartley. That was approximately 2 years ago. The name hit me like cold water. Marcus. I'd almost forgotten about him. The overly friendly IT guy who'd made everyone uncomfortable with his lingering stares and unwanted comments. He'd been fired after multiple complaints, but I'd never thought about him again after that. You think it's him? I asked. We're exploring all possibilities, Detective Chen said. Mr. Pierce's theory has merit. Delaney has a history that raises red flags. We're bringing him in for questioning. She closed the folder and stood. In the meantime, I'd recommend you stay somewhere else. Your apartment is still a crime scene, and even after we clear it, you shouldn't be there alone. She can stay with me, Liam said immediately. I opened my mouth to protest, then closed it. Where else would I go? Nora's place was tiny, a one-bedroom she shared with her boyfriend. My parents lived 3 states away. And the thought of a hotel room, alone, with someone out there who knew my face, my routine, my address. Okay, I whispered. Just for tonight. Liam's apartment looked exactly as I remembered it. Minimalist, clean, everything in its place. He'd moved here after our breakup, unable to stay in the place we'd shared. I'd never visited before now. He set me up in his bedroom while he took the couch, bringing me clean towels and an oversized t-shirt to sleep in. The gesture was so familiar it made my chest ache. Liam, I said as he turned to leave. Why didn't you tell me? About the report, the photos, all of it. He stopped in the doorway, his back to me. You wanted space, Emma. You made it clear that my worry, my need to protect you, was suffocating. How could I tell you I was tracking a potential stalker? You would have thought I was the stalker. I did think that, I admitted. For a while, I thought maybe you were the one watching me. He turned then, and the hurt in his eyes was devastating. I know. That's why I couldn't tell you. I couldn't make you choose between trusting me and trusting yourself. He ran a hand through his hair, exhausted. So, I just kept watching.
Kept checking.
Kept texting every night to make sure you responded, because as long as you did, I knew you were okay. Tears burned behind my eyes.
I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry I didn't believe you. Don't apologize. You had every right to set boundaries. He paused, his voice rough. I just couldn't stop caring if you were safe. He left me alone in his bedroom, surrounded by the scent of his cologne and the weight of everything unsaid between us. I didn't sleep. I lay there staring at the ceiling, listening to the sounds of the city outside, jumping at every distant siren, every creaking floorboard. Around 5 a.m., my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. My heart stopped. I opened it with trembling hands. Nice try. You can't hide from me. The next few days blurred together in a haze of police interviews, phone calls, and paranoia. Detective Chen informed us that they'd questioned Marcus Delaney, but he had an alibi for the night of the break-in. He'd been at a company party with dozens of witnesses. That doesn't mean he wasn't involved, she'd said. Could have hired someone. We're still investigating. But the text messages continued. Always from different numbers. Always untraceable. Saw you at the police station. Nice jacket. Staying with your ex now? How sweet. You look tired, Emma. Not sleeping well. Each message was a violation, proof that someone was watching, always watching. Work became impossible. I took a leave of absence, unable to focus, unable to function. Ryan had been sympathetic when I called to explain, offering to bring me my things from the office. That's really not necessary, I'd said. It's no trouble. I'm worried about you, Emma. We all are. He showed up at Liam's apartment 2 days later with a box of my belongings. Liam answered the door, and I saw something shift in Ryan's expression, surprise, maybe, or calculation. You must be the ex, Ryan said, extending his hand. Ryan Torres. I work with Emma. Liam shook his hand but didn't smile. Liam Pierce. The air between them felt charged, territorial. I stepped between them, taking the box. Thanks for bringing this, Ryan. I really appreciate it. Of course. His eyes lingered on my face, concerned. You doing okay? This whole situation sounds terrifying.
I'm managing.
Well, if you need anything at all, just call. I'm here for you. After he left, Liam closed the door and leaned against it. That's the guy from your work?
Yeah.
Ryan. He's been really supportive. Something flickered across Liam's face. He drives a black sedan. I froze. What? When he pulled up, black sedan. Looked like the same make and model. Liam, half the city drives black sedans. I know, but...
No.
I cut him off, feeling a surge of defensive anger. You can't start suspecting everyone. Ryan's been nothing but kind to me. He's a colleague, a friend. You don't get to turn this into some witch hunt. Liam held up his hands. You're right.
I'm sorry.
I'm just on edge. But I saw him watching through the window as Ryan drove away, and I saw him take a photo of the license plate. Detective Chin called 3 days later with news that made my stomach drop. We got a hit on the prints from your apartment, she said. Ryan Torres. Does that name mean anything to you? The room tilted. That's my coworker. We need you to come down to the station.
Now.
The next hour passed in a surreal fog. Liam drove while I sat in the passenger seat, numb with disbelief. Ryan. Friendly, helpful, concerned Ryan. At the station, Detective Chun laid out the evidence like cards in a sick game. Ryan Torres has a prior restraining order from an ex-girlfriend in Portland. Filed 2 years ago for stalking and harassment. He violated it 3 times before she moved out of state. She pulled up his employment history. He applied to your company specifically after you were hired. His resume was tailored to match your project team. This wasn't coincidence, Emma. He targeted you. But Marcus
Was a red herring.
Torres knew about Delaney from your workplace records. He works in IT, has access to employee files. He probably figured if you got scared enough, you'd suspect your past stalker, not the new friendly coworker. My hands shook. He brought me coffee. He offered to walk me home. He was at Liam's apartment 3 days ago. We know. We've been building our case, but we needed more evidence to arrest him. Which is why we're asking for your help. She leaned forward. Torres doesn't know we've identified him yet. We want to set up a controlled meeting. Get him to reveal himself. Make a move, while we have officers positioned nearby. You want to use her as bait? Liam's voice was sharp with anger. We want to catch him before he escalates further. He's already broken into her home once. The harassment is intensifying. It's only a matter of time before he tries again, and next time, we might not get there in fast enough. I thought about the whispered voice on the phone. Miss me yet? I thought about waking up to my door handle turning in the darkness. I thought about that figure moving through my apartment, invading my space, my safety, my life. What do I have to do? I asked. The plan was simple, at least on paper. I would return to my apartment, now cleaned and secured, and resume something close to normal life. The police would have plainclothes officers stationed nearby, cameras installed in my hallway, a panic button on my keychain that would bring them running within seconds. "He'll reach out," Detective Chin said. "Probably try to play the concerned friend, offer to check on you. When he does, engage him. Get him talking. We'll handle the rest." Liam hated every aspect of the plan. "This is insane. You're painting a target on her back." "The target's already there," Detective Chin replied. "This just gives us a chance to stop him before someone gets hurt." I moved back into my apartment on a Tuesday morning. It felt alien now, contaminated by the memory of that night. The replaced window gleamed with new glass. Fresh locks adorned the doors. But no amount of hardware could erase the knowledge that someone had been inside, had breathed my air, had touched my things. That evening, as the sun set and shadows lengthened across my living room, my phone rang. Ryan. I looked at the camera mounted in the corner of my room, invisible to anyone who didn't know where to look, and answered. "Hey, Ryan. Emma. I heard you're back home. How are you feeling?" "Better. The police think they're close to figuring out who's been harassing me." A pause. "That's great news. Must be such a relief." "It is." I kept my voice steady, conversational. "Actually, I wanted to thank you for being so supportive through all this. Would you want to come over? I could order pizza, we could just hang out. I've been going stir-crazy here alone." Another pause, longer this time. "Tonight? If you're free. I know it's short notice." "No, that's perfect. I'll be there in 20 minutes. He hung up. My hands were shaking so badly, I nearly dropped the phone. In my earpiece, I heard Detective Chen's voice. "Good work. Officers are in position. Remember, keep the conversation natural. We need him to slip up, to reveal something only the stalker would know." 20 minutes felt like 20 hours. I paced my apartment, heart hammering, second-guessing everything. What if I was wrong? What if Ryan really was just a concerned coworker, and we were ruining an innocent man's life? But then I remembered the restraining order, the targeted job application, the fingerprints in my apartment. The knock came at exactly 8:15 p.m. I looked through the new peephole, reinforced police grade, and saw Ryan standing in the hallway, holding a bottle of wine, and wearing that same friendly smile. I opened the door. "Hey." He stepped inside, immediately moving toward the kitchen like he belonged here. "Brought wine. Figured we both could use it after the week you've had." "Thanks." I closed the door, but didn't lock it. Detective Chen's instructions. Officers needed to be able to get in quickly. Ryan set the wine down and turned to face me, his expression warm with concern. "So, how are you really doing? Must have been terrifying, someone breaking in like that." It was. I leaned against the counter, trying to seem relaxed. "The police think it might be someone from my past. An old coworker who got fired." "Marcus Delaney," Ryan said. I froze. "How did you know his name?" His smile flickered, just for a second. "You mentioned him before, didn't you?"
No.
"I never told you about him." The air in the room changed. Ryan's expression shifted, the warmth draining away, replaced by something colder, more calculated. "I must have heard it from someone at work," he said, but his voice had lost its casual tone. "Ryan." I kept my voice steady. "Why did you come to Seattle?"
For the job.
"Same as anyone. But you applied specifically to our company. Specifically to work on my team. Why?" He stared at me, and for the first time, I saw past the friendly facade to something darker underneath. "You really don't remember me, do you?" My blood went cold. "Remember you from where?"
Portland.
3 years ago. You came in for consultation at Brightwell Digital. I was interning there. You walked right past my desk every day for 2 weeks and never once looked at me.
Never even saw me.
The memory came back in fragments. I'd done freelance work for Brightwell right after college. It had been a brief project, barely memorable. "I was nobody to you," Ryan continued, his voice taking on an edge. "Just another face in an office."
But I saw you, Emma.
"I saw how you smiled at everyone, how you made people feel special. And I thought if I could just get to know you properly, you'd see me too. So, you followed me to Seattle. I gave you space at first. But then you started dating him." He spat the word like poison.
Liam.
Always hovering, always controlling. I knew you deserved better. I knew if I just waited, you'd break up with him, and then… And then what? My voice was harder now, anger cutting through fear. You'd what, Ryan? Save me? Protect me? By stalking me? By breaking into my home? His expression twisted. I never wanted to scare you. I just wanted you to see me, to need me. When you blocked Liam, I thought finally you were ready to move on. But then you ran right back to him. His voice rose. You chose him over me, over someone who actually understands you. I don't know you, I shouted. You're a stranger who's been violating my privacy for months. I know everything about you. He moved closer, and I pressed back against the counter. I know you eat pad thai when you're stressed. I know you listen to sad music when you can't sleep. I know you bite your bottom lip when you're concentrating. I know. The door burst open. Police. Hands where we can see them. Officers flooded into my apartment, weapons drawn. Ryan spun around, face contorting with rage and shock. On the ground.
Now.
He looked at me, and in his eyes I saw betrayal, anger, and something worse, obsession that wouldn't die just because he'd been caught. This isn't over, Emma, he said as they forced him to his knees. You'll see. You'll understand eventually. They handcuffed him, read him his rights, and dragged him out of my apartment while he continued to shout my name. And then it was over. Detective Chun appeared beside me. You did great. We got everything on recording. His confession, the admission of stalking, all of it. I nodded numbly, unable to speak. Liam rushed in moments later, having waited outside per protocol. He didn't ask permission this time, just pulled me into his arms while I finally let myself break down completely. The trial took 3 months to reach its conclusion. In that time, I learned more about Ryan Torres than I ever wanted to know. The police uncovered a storage unit filled with photographs of me, thousands of them, dating back years. My apartment in Portland. My first days in Seattle. Every coffee shop I'd visited. Every route I'd walked. They found journals filled with detailed observations about my life, fantasies about our future together, and increasingly dark entries about Liam as an obstacle that needed to be removed. The prosecution built an airtight case. Multiple stalking charges, breaking and entering, criminal harassment. Ryan's defense tried to paint him as mentally ill, a man who needed help rather than punishment. But I remembered his cold calculation when the mask slipped. This wasn't illness. This was entitlement. He decided I was his, and my own feelings had never factored into that equation. The jury deliberated for less than 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. I sat in the courtroom, Liam beside me, and felt nothing but numb relief as they led Ryan away. He looked back at me once, his expression unreadable, before disappearing through the door. Therapy helped, though recovery wasn't linear. Some days I felt strong, empowered, like I'd survived something terrible and come out the other side. Other days I couldn't leave my apartment without checking over my shoulder every few seconds. I moved to a new place, ground floor this time, despite the increased break-in risk, because I couldn't handle another fire escape outside my window. Better security system, better locks, better neighborhood. Liam helped me move, along with Nora and a few other friends. We didn't immediately get back together. That would have been too simple, too much like a reward for trauma. Instead, we started slow.
Coffee dates.
Long walks. Conversations that finally addressed the real issues between us, his overprotectiveness, my need for independence, and how we could possibly find a balance that honored both. I can't promise I won't worry, he told me one evening as we sat by the waterfront, watching the sun set over Puget Sound. That's just who I am. But I can promise to trust you more. To give you space even when every instinct tells me to hover. And I can promise to actually tell you when something's wrong, I replied. Instead of pushing you away for caring. It wasn't perfect. We still had arguments, still had moments where his worry chafed against my independence. But we were learning, both of us, how to love each other without losing ourselves in the process. 6 months after the trial, I was finally starting to feel normal again. I'd returned to work, at a different company, unable to stomach going back to the place where Ryan had watched me every day. My new colleagues were kind, respectful of my boundaries, and nobody texted me obsessively. Except Liam. I smiled as my phone buzzed at 10:45 p.m., right on schedule. Home safe. I looked around my new apartment. Warm lighting, comfortable furniture, photos of friends and family on the walls. Through the window, I could see the quiet street below, empty of sinister vehicles, free of shadows that didn't belong. I picked up my phone and typed my response, but this time I added something new. Yes, Liam. Home safe. Finally. 3 disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, his response came through. Good. That's all I needed to know. Love you. Love you too. I set my phone on the nightstand, turned off the lamp, and for the first time in months, I fell asleep without checking the locks 3 times or sleeping with my phone clutched in my hand. Because sometimes the person you push away is the only one who sees the danger coming. Sometimes control is just love that doesn't know how else to speak. And sometimes the best thing you can do is let someone care about you, even when independence means more than you ever thought it would. I'd learned the hard way that home safe wasn't about control. It was about someone caring enough to wait for the answer. And now, finally, I could give it without fear. 1 year later, I received a letter. It came to my new address, which should have been impossible, but somehow wasn't surprising. No return address, but I recognized the handwriting on the envelope immediately. Ryan. My first instinct was to throw it away unopened, maybe call Detective Chen. But curiosity won out. I opened it in Liam's presence, hands steady now where once they would have shaken. Inside was a single page, written in that same precise handwriting. Dear Emma, I've had a lot of time to think about what I did. The therapists here say I need to take responsibility to understand that my feelings didn't give me the right to invade your life.
I do understand that now.
Intellectually, at least. But I want you to know something. I never wanted to hurt you. I only ever wanted you to see me the way I saw you. I only ever wanted to matter to you the way you mattered to me. I know that doesn't excuse anything. I know sorry isn't enough. But I am sorry. For the fear. For the violation. For not understanding that love isn't something you can force someone to feel. I hope you're happy now. I hope you feel safe. And I hope someday you can think about me without feeling afraid. That's all I want now. Just to be remembered as something other than the monster who broke into your home. Take care of yourself, Emma. Ryan. I read it twice, then set it down. What do you think? Liam asked carefully. I thought about it for a long moment. I think he's trying. I think he might even mean it. I looked up at Liam. But I also think some people confuse obsession with love and can't tell the difference even when they're trying to. Are you going to write back?
No.
I folded the letter and put it back in the envelope. He doesn't get any more of my energy. Not even forgiveness, because that's still a connection, and I don't owe him that. I threw the letter in the trash, and we never spoke of it again. That night, at exactly 10:45 p.m., my phone buzzed. Home safe. I smiled and typed back. Yes, Liam. Home safe. Always. Because after everything, the fear, the danger, the betrayal, and the slow rebuilding, I'd learned the most important lesson of all. Sometimes the person who asks if you're home safe isn't trying to control you. They're just making sure you're still there to answer. And sometimes that makes all the difference. When someone keeps asking if you're safe, are they trying to control you, or are they the only one who sees the danger you can't? If this story made you think twice about the people watching over you, hit that like button and subscribe for more true stories that will keep you up at night.